Welcome to Jerez. We are here for the annual Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Finals and the final round of the three key regional championships. The European Series will be decided this weekend, so too will the Asian Series, and so too will be the North American Championship. We have two races today for each of those regions. The cars making their way out onto the circuit now. We have one race this morning, one this afternoon. Final two races within the championship, add the points together. By the end of today, we'll know who the regional champions are. The grid for the first race is being formed, and this brings together the Asian and North American championships. The Asian runners will be at the front of the grid for race one, the Americans at the front of the grid for race two. The Europeans, of which there are more, they get a standalone brace of races. David Addison trackside, Marietta Evans is down on the grid, and the grid is based on the time set in the qualifying session of yesterday afternoon. It is a bright morning, it is a warm day, it's not tropically hot, but it's a very nice autumnal climate here at Jerez in southern Spain. This very much a motorbike circuit these days. Yes, it's had Formula 1 Grand Prix, yes, it's had Group C races, but these days very busy, more for bikes than for cars. Drivers saying it's going to be hard to overtake around here. However, we will see. The determination, of course, is going to be there to get the points to do well in the championship, so we'll see how that all pans once we go racing. And, of course, it could be that clever pit strategy works in your favour slightly, because if you can get out of traffic, you might be able to gain places on the pit stops. So, pole position for this first race goes the way from the Asian Championship of Yuki Nemoto, the former karter, former single-seater racer, driving for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, and Nemoto's car, which is black with the blue stripe across the top of it, starts, as I say, on pole position. And with him at the front of the grid is Chris van der Drift. Now, as far as the championships are concerned, let's worry first about the Asian Series. In Pro, it is Takeshi Kasai and Yusuke Puhaka who share a car against Chris van der Drift, there on the front row, and Evan Chen. They are the two, unquestionably, with their sights on the outright championship. Now, the car I've just mentioned of Yuki Nemoto and Alex Au runs in Pro-Am, and it's a rather distant third in Pro-Am. So it's going to be interesting for the race result, but not necessarily for the outcome of championships, how that car fares. Pro-Am is up for grabs in the Asian Series, just. Afit Yazid, who's been a multiple champion, and Toshiyuki Ochiai, 28 points up on Brendan Leach, and he could, it's an outside chance, but he could take the crown. In Am, Hulin Han is ahead of the Setiranakul brothers, Sarun and Saravat. He has got an advantage of 17 points, which is good, but with 32 on offer over the course of the weekend, it's not guaranteed. And then in the Am Cup, Clement Lee is 7 points up on Paul Wong. Now, they this weekend share a car, so Paul Wong ain't going to catch, because whatever he scores, so too will Clement Lee. So it looks like Clement Lee is on target to win the Lamborghini Cup section from the Asian Series. In North America, it's even less clear-cut, because in Pro, we've got 32 points on offer if you take pole position points. Corey Lewis, Richard Antonucci share a car, Brandon Godovic, and then Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell, who share a car. All could be on top. Then in Pro-Am, Damon Ockey and Jacob Eidson have already taken that championship. In Am, Mackay Snow, Stephen Agakane, Cameron Castles, they are all still in with the chance of victory, and in the Lamborghini Cup, Mel Johnson is 14 ahead, so it's unlikely he's going to be caught. Possible, but it's unlikely. So, in short, there's a lot at stake over the course of these two races, and we will very shortly be getting underway, because the grid, as you see, is being cleared. The Urus, the lead car, behind it is the 15 second board, so it will now peel away. Daniele Gabbiati, who is the race director, will give the call when he's happy, and everybody will blast away for this combined USA and Asian Championship race. There, Nemoto on pole position then, with on the outside of the front row of the grid, the green car of Chris van der Drift. And there is one you see in the pit lane. Now, I'm just looking to see whether that is missing from this grid, or indeed whether that is just going to the technical checks for the European Series. We'll need to keep an eye to that as the cars now work their way up through turn one. Climb the hill through the Curva Expo 92, as it is called. Then the short straight up to the Curva Michelin. Turn two. It's effectively a right-hand hairpin as you then drop down the hill. Nemoto and van der Drift then on the front row of the grid. Row two is where you find Takashi Kasai, lining up alongside Dan Wells, the British driver based in Hong Kong these days. Dan, much underrated driver, sharing with Philippe Kaddouri. He could be one to watch in that car as well. On the third row of the grid is the redoubtable Emanuele Pirro, sharing with Tony Cairoli in the guest car, but Emanuele is going to be a man to watch for sure. Brendan Leach alongside him. Then on the fourth row is the car in the hands of Takeuchi Ochiai. He shares with Afik Yazid, and then Singleton Hulin Han is on the outside of that row. On the fifth row of the grid is Sarun Saravirankul, and alongside him will be Alexandre Negro. Then you've got Sutiluk Buncharoen and Gabriele Moroni, True Vision and GDL Racing respectively, as they come down that fast back straight to the hairpin into turn 6. Then it is Matsuda and Kumar Prabhakaran on the next row of the grid, and to round out the Asian section, Paul Wong and Max Weiser will be alongside one another. So that's the Curva Dry Sack that the cars turn from now and accelerate their way down towards turn 7. Turn 8 is the Curva Aspar. They're looking at the rear of the grid. That's the penultimate row of the Asian element, with Kumar Prabhakaran lining up on the outside of that row, with number 230 of Takemichi Matsuda on the inside line. And then the back row, as I say, is Paul Wong and Max Weiser, who didn't get a time in the session yesterday. The car that he shares with Supachai Wiraborwampong, who's a regular Asian runner but has been racing in Europe this year, but has decided to have a go in the Asian series this weekend. 50-minute race, incidentally, not a set number of laps. The checker flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line after the 50 minutes are up. Pit window between 20 and 30. Here's the American section of the grid, where Jacob Eidson is on pole position, and the hugely experienced Paolo Roberti lines up on the outside of that front row. The second row is Andrea Amici alongside Richard Antonucci. The third row, Brandon Gudovic, and then the teenaged Stephen Agakani in number 106. So you've got some very, very rapid drivers at the front of the grid. The fourth row is Mackay Snow and Cameron Cassels. Then Ashton Harrison in the all-girl car that is shared along with Stephanie Simo. Then it is in number 107, Sheena Monk. Next on the grid will be Tom Lovelady, regular winner in Lamborghini Cup this year. But we are about to go racing, because the cars now make their way into the final corner. Then the safety car is going to do one more lap by the look of it. So the race director is unhappy, seemingly. The cars accelerate away now, but the lights do not change. I'm looking at the clock, which is not yet counting down from the 50 minutes. So everybody accelerates down towards turn 1, but for my understanding, the race is not yet on. They're going to have another formation lap, seemingly, because the safety car has stayed out. Now the clock has started, but the plot thickens here because the two safety cars have not been released. So there's the second wave of cars. That's the American element, and drivers slightly perplexed because we want to go racing, but the safety car stays out for another lap. Now, it might be that because it's a cool morning, the race director is giving them another lap to get the tyres up to temperature, but the second lap will count within the 50 minutes. But either way, the clock is ticking, and the safety car, as you see, is still on track. And that's rather bad news for whichever car it is at the end of the pit lane, because the danger is now it loses the lap. It's not been released. So there's some rather earnest discussion going on now between the team and the officials to try and get that car released out onto the circuit. So that is the end of the back straight down to the Curva Dry Sack. It's a very fast section, that hard braking, turn through that right-hand hairpin. The car that was at the end of the pit lane, there it is, joins in now. That's 122, so it's from the American Series, and it is the car of Justin Price and Chad Reed. So I'm not sure whether it had a problem, in fairness, or whether it just missed the pit opening, but it is there now. But it's going to have to start from the back of the grid. Justin Price, who was third in his class in the Lamborghini Cup class of last year. So that car, number 122, should now start at the back of the grid. The race effectively is on anyway, so it will be, in real terms, a pit lane start that it's just had. So the cars then are on currently the first lap of the race, and Yuki Inamoto leads. But of course, in this situation, the driver can make less of a difference within his stint because you've got the cars under controlled conditions rather than a pure race pace. So the drivers unable to build gaps, unable to, if they're the faster driver, do the hard yards for their teammates. So the control cars, the lead cars, are still out there. The safety car has now made its way onto the circuit. It's on the pit straight. But are we going to be in business this time? Down to the last corner they come. Apologies for the slightly confused way that the event's going to start. The lead car is in, but the safety car stays on the track and is going to pick them up. So why the safety car is now being deployed past, everybody accelerates away as though the race were on and then sees the safety car. So still they are unable to go racing. So out of turn one they head, looking back from the safety car. But the plot thickens because there's not, as far as I'm aware, been an incident. But the race director has called for the safety car to be on track, and the explanation for this is not being offered. So here is the American part of the race, which again comes over the line, and some want to go racing because their control car has peeled in. But the yellow flags are still there, and the safety car on track legend is on the screen. And the danger is now that people shuffle their order, and some are going to obey the regulation. You see, there from pole position, going up towards turn one, Jason Ideson is saying, look, we're still behind the safety car, don't come past me. But others are thinking, well, why is the safety car on track? We just had a start. They haven't. They've been released from that lead car for the group, but the safety car is on track. Now, these drivers have an opportunity now to close on the back of the Asians. So you've got the two groups running together rather than being segregated. But as to why the safety car is out, I think it's liquid up at turn one. That's the problem. I can just see in the distance marshals working at the first corner. So it looks as though somebody, perhaps on their way round to the grid, has spilt some oil. And there it is being attended to. So that is the reason. Now it starts to become rather more apparent. So what has been required is to get people into a line, let the marshals go and work on the circuit, and now they can sprint clear. So maybe this time we are going to be able to go racing, but a rather confused start to the race. But fingers crossed this time will be good. Out of the centre chicane. That's homologated for car racing, not for bikes. You're down at turn 11, and it's a 13 corner lap into Curva Ferrari, short straight up to the Curva Lorenzo. Pit in is on the inside, but the safety car is staying out. So for the drivers, huge frustration this, that they still can't go racing. Here's the American wave of cars, and you see one or two rubbing, bit of bodywork flies. Still the safety car stays out, so another lap behind it before we can go racing. That's live. That is the race leading group. So the order is, at the moment, Yuki Inamoto from Chris van der Drift, and then in third place in 263 is Takashi Kasai, fourth is Dan Wells, fifth is Emanuele Pirro, and then in sixth place in 207 is Brendan Leach. So that is how they run at the moment. 238 goes through, that being the car of Afik Yazid, but Toshiyuki Ochiai starts. He's in seventh place ahead of Hulin Han. And it is Siro Faranakul, and to round out the top 10 at the moment from the Asian Championship is Angelo Negrão. Now, looking to see whether we might get a green flag this time. Safety car board is still evident on the marshal's post at the end, but no, safety car will be in this time. So we should be good, finally, to go racing at the end of this lap. And this is lap number 3. So we've had effectively 6 minutes of the race, but no real racing has been done as yet. So the car's now trying to get their Pirelli tyres up to temperature, get the pressures up, ready to go racing. The boards should be withdrawn at the end of this lap, as there through is 230 again from the Asian Series. That's the car of Takemichi Matsuda. Before we go racing then, let's quickly catch news from the pits. Let's join Marietta Evans.
and I'm here with Supercross champion Chad Reed. Chad, a bit of an eventful start of the day, nevertheless very exciting.
Always exciting, yeah, and that's racing, you know, whether you're on 2 wheels or 4 wheels, you never know what's going to happen, but yeah, lots of confusion, but now it seems like I just heard a safety car in this lap and we're going to go racing.
So what made you bring your super amazing talent to 4 wheels?
I mean, I love racing, and in the US I don't do the summer series, the motocross, so I had some time off, I got invited out and just fell in love right away. So yeah, love driving the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car and having a blast.
You're jumping the car for the second stint. How is the feeling with the car? How are you feeling for today?
Feels pretty good, you know, like in the mornings the weather is obviously quite a lot cooler, so the track should be fast this morning, and hopefully you know, Justin hands over the car in one piece, and I can take it to the finish.
Thank you very much, good luck.
So let's go racing here at Jerez as the cars storm over the timing line. Green flags fly. Chad Reed will get to in the second stint in the American part of the race. Run out of things to break, I think, in motocross. Had a huge accident at the start of the season, but it's good to have him here this weekend. So Nemoto leads, Vanderdrift is second, and then third is Kasai as the cars wriggle their way up through turn 2. There is Dan Wells in 4th place. So right now it is Nemoto that leads, but he's in Pro-Am, remember. As far as the championship is concerned, it is Vanderdrift versus Kasai, and it is Chris Vanderdrift staying ahead. So down they come. Keep an eye to number 263 and 268. Kasai 263, 268. Chris Vanderdrift as the field swoops its way then now towards the Curva Cito Pons for the first time. 288 goes through. That being Gabriele Moroni, who is one of the quick drivers within the Lamborghini Cup, and there an effort is made at the end of the back straight, charging up on the inside line through. On the inside goes 207, and that means that Brendan Leach gains a place. Leach working his way forward, goes ahead of Emanuele Pirro. He'll be bragging about that for a while. So Emanuele, who is now very much involved with Lamborghini, but of course had all his Le Mans success for Audi, drove for BMW in the European Touring Car Championship for a time, drove in Formula 1, dropped 1 place. He shares this car, number 222, with Tony Cairoli, and it's a limited amount of track time that they've had, although the teams have been here for a few days testing. Bouncing over the curve there is Kasai as they come down through the centre chicane, slow part of the circuit. Now the speed builds up through turn 12. And this is the view from the third-placed car then of Takashi Kasai as they break now for Curva Lorenzo up towards the end of the first effectively racing lap. And this will put really 10 minutes in the book now. Leaders go through. So it is in 266 the race leader, Yuki Nemoto, trying to build this gap in the car that he shares with Alex Au. Chris Vanderdrift is 1 second back. Third is Takashi Kasai. Dan Wells goes 4th, and there another challenge being made as they climb up towards turn 1, because on the inside line through goes 257. So Sari Faranoko goes ahead of Hulin Han, and that's for the class lead as well. So Sarun goes by, and Hulin Han, who is the man to beat within the championship, loses track position straight away. Nemoto having already taken a point for his pole position. Vanderdrift taking a point from a class pole position yesterday as well, and they run 1 and 2 on the road at the moment. So Vanderdrift taking another point back in the Asian Series in Pro from Kasai and Yusuke Pohaka, who was very impressive in the championship last year. 244 goes through, that being Paul Wong and Clement Lee, chipping forward from the rear of the grid. So it is effectively, if you take the pole point 1 that separates Kasai Pohaka from Chen and Vanderdrift, it really is going to be a nail-biter for the pro category over the course of this weekend. Paul Wong was off the road early in the qualifying session yesterday, but he's hustling on here. Look, there he is going through. So 244 Paul Wong now accelerates his way down through the turn 7-8 section of the circuit. This driver who came into Lamborghini racing from the Ferrari Challenge, he was last year's Lamborghini Cup champion in the Asian Series, getting himself there onto the back look of 288 of Gabriele Moroni. So right now it is Matsuda, Moroni, Wong, the order within the Lamborghini Cup as they run up towards the completion of the lap. Here are the race leaders then. Yuki Nemoto still leads the way. Ex-Japanese F4 racer, Italian GT, Block Pan Asia, Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe racer, experienced campaigner, and he leads Vanderdrift by 11 tenths of a second with 11 minutes done. Over the timing line they go. Third is Kasai, 4th is Dan Wells, 5th is Leach. There's a car that will come to for the next race. That's one of the European cars, but that gives you an indication of what they look like close up. So the lead gap just over a second there. Going through is Yuki Nemoto. Now Chris Vanderdrift, who has excelled in single-seaters but recently in Carrera Cup races, knows how to win championships, he will know that he's not really racing that car ahead. He's quite content for the moment to drive his own race, just to sit there, just to bank the points that he needs for a class win. So you don't get overall points, you get points in your class. Yuki Nomoto and Alec Tao lead the way, but they are in Pro-Am, so there's no real point Van der Drift doing anything rash. As long as he is ahead of Kasai, he's outscoring him, and that is good news. It's 15, 12, 10 for the top three, so this would put them into the lead of the championship if they can stay ahead of Kasai with a race to go. There is Van der Drift, the Kiwi, experienced single-seater racer from Formula Renault and through Super League. Had his big accident, of course, at Brands Hatch a few years ago, but has made a real name for himself in GT racing in Asia in recent years. They're all up the curb, goes 263 Takashi Kasai. He shares this car with Yuso Pohaka, the young quick Finn, but right now the Leipert car is falling back a little bit. Sorry, the FFF car is falling back a little bit and needs to get a wriggle on. So Kasai does the first stint. This is the view. Makes the run now past the pits. So that last lap for Nomoto was a 42.4. He's being caught by Van der Drift. The gap is coming down, whereas Kasai is falling back, a 142.8. He is losing touch. Big wobble there from Van der Drift going up towards turn 2, the curve of Michelin, but as you can see, he is hustling along. What you don't have here is a huge amount of runoff. You've got, because it's a motorbike circuit predominantly these days, there's very, very low flat curb, but a lot of gravel. You don't get much runoff tarmac, there's certainly no grass. So yesterday, if anyone was running wide, they were straight away ensnared by gravel. Drivers have to really be on their toes, therefore. And we have one car that's under investigation for the safety car procedure, and it is the Takemichi Matsuda Dai Yoshihara car 230 that's currently running quite a long way back anyway, but it's under investigation now for possible breach of the safety car procedure, running in 12th place, leading its class. There is 238, that being, as it comes out of the hairpin, Afik Yazid and Takushi Ochiai. 7th that car runs at the moment, picking out one or two others lower down the order behind Ochiai. There, going quite strongly actually, is Sarun Thoranokul. Came from the Thai Super Series into Super Trofeo. But the lead gap, having said that Van der Drift doesn't need to hustle on, he is doing just that, isn't he? He is chipping away at this gap to Yuki Nomoto. Here they come now up towards turn 13, the curve of Lorenzo. And Chris Van der Drift sharing with Yifan, or Evan Chen, blasts his way now up over the line. Incidentally, the fastest lap of the race has been done by one of the cars from the American series, that of Paolo Ruberti, a 141.8, so he's about 3/10 quicker than the leading Asian cars. 143 though is in the gravel, and that is the car of Ashton Harrison, so I'm afraid she has gone straight on. Is that at the back of the circuit at turn 6? I fear it might be. So Ashton Harrison is in the gravel, and now let us see what the race director has to do. Is that going to be able to be covered by a yellow flag? Let's have a look. It is at turn 6. Oh, there was some help in all of that. Wow, bang, a big whack on the inside as coming through was Sheena Monk. So a very determined effort to get past, but a rather bruising one. So Sheena Monk rattles into the side of Ashton Harrison. Ashton is in the gravel, and now the race director will have to make a call as to whether that can be hooked out of the way under a double wave yellow, or whether we need to have the race interrupted. So contact between the girls. Ashton Harrison, who is out of the race, and there you can see the damage to Sheena Monk's car. Tyres gone down, suspension damage as well, so Sheena Monk limps to the pit lane. She might be able to get back in the race, but Ashton Harrison not sure about that. It's taken a bigger whack than you might have expected. Whoops, and yes, because that wheel is not for turning, it's very difficult to get the car back to the pit lane. So Sheena Monk, in her second season of Lamborghini racing, limps on. Ashton Harrison, who when she's not racing is very actively involved in dog rescue. I'm afraid her car now needs rescuing. There in replay, struggling on Sheena Monk. So the impact does for the tyre, but then also damages the suspension. The wheel not turning makes that car ever more difficult to move. So we have that incident being looked at. First of all, though, let's go back to the pit lane. Marietta has more news for us. Marietta.
I'm here with Cody Lewis, who is leading the Championship in Pro. Very important weekend for you guys. How is Richard doing right now out there on track?
Yeah, Richie's doing great right now. I think we're sitting third or fourth in the race right now. We have a Pro-Am car up towards the front, which I believe we'll be able to shuffle through and get on the overall top 3. Like you mentioned, we have 6-point advantage here for the U.S. Championship. We're going to be pushing hard today to try to capture that for Change Racing, Lamborghini Chart, Titan CBD oils. You know, it's been a long year. We're ready to cap it off, and the championship is our main goal.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Corey Lewis win in 2015 in Pro-Am in the World Final. Last year he won the Pro Championship in the North American Series, so he's had a good track record in this. No indication yet of the race being neutralised with that car in the gravel. The teams are being warned about it. Meantime, Sheena Monk has got as far as the pit lane, I think I'm right in saying, but the car somewhat dog-eared as a result of all of that. The lead gap has gone up again. Nemoto to Van der Drift, a second and a half. Meantime, in America, Jacob Eidson versus Paolo Roberti, and they are now separated by 1.2 seconds. Even if Sheena Monk does go back in the race, she'll lose a lap at least, maybe 2. So there is Yuki Nemoto, puts another lap in the book as he comes over the timing line, chased by Chris Van der Drift. The gap is going up again, 2 seconds. So Van der Drift was pushing, did bring it down. Now, as I say, that is widening once again as the cars head towards turn 2, the Curve of Michelin. Van der Drift goes through. He's under no attack, is he, though, from Takashi Kasai. It's going to be interesting now to see what Pohaka can do against Evan Chen when we get to the next stint of the race, as the cars now turn their way up through the approach to turn 6, down that back straight. Out of the Curvacito Ponds they will come. Road climbs here. It's a tight right-hander. You see it loop over the brow, and then speed building all the while. Now there, look, the yellow flag's away. There's also, for the race leaders, the threat of traffic up the road as well that are going to have to be sorted out before much longer. Hard on the brakes, down to the hairpin. So the marshals trying to sort out the incident. At the same time, the race continues. The race director, if he can avoid putting out the safety car again, will avoid it, because we've already had that one rather lengthy aspect to the race in the first stint. There, out of turn 6 goes 222, which is Emanuele Pirro in 6th place now. Pirro, and that's another of the cars running in Pro-Am. So Emanuele having a rare outing in modern race cars. He's very busy these days in historics. He's a regular at Goodwood, very successful at Goodwood, for example, in the revival and the members' meetings there. But Emanuele Pirro turns his way through turn 10, the curve Palucchi, and down towards the centre chicane. And he's actually not that far off Brendan Leach, even though he lost the place to Leach earlier on. He's doing his best to come back at him. Now, we are not far away from the pit window opening. It's between the 20 and 30 minute marks. And there, Pirro out of turn 13. If you're at the back of the grid, you might actually be able to come in at the end of this lap. And if you're the slower driver in the car, bail early. So over the timing line goes Pirro, and the race has now completed. 20 minutes, the pit window is open. It lasts for 10 minutes. You don't have to have a co-driver. The regulations for this championship work that you can share, but you can go solo if you desire. And Pirro hustling on. This gives you an idea of just how much effort is put into the car around here. It's probably a long time since he raced at Jerez, but Pirro now accelerates up towards the Curvacito Ponds. Many of the corner names you'll have twigged, underlining not just the circuits, but Spain's great passion for motorcycle racing. It is the Circuito Angel Nieto. There are the yellows waving up towards turn 6. And Pirro actually is coming back at Leach, isn't he, for 5th overall in the race. So through he turns. Out of the hairpin. Speed builds through that left kink at 7, then a tighter left at the curve at Aspar here. Short straight up towards the Angel Nieto corner, which is turn 9, short straight to turn 10. And you see those low, flat curves, drivers using as much of the real estate as they can. Out wide, finding the line to shoot the car through turn 10. There goes Pirro, short straight, and then hard on the brakes down towards the centre chicane. Right, left, right. And we have got cars now making pit stops, because in addition to Sheena Monk, we've got Sotoluk Buncharo in, also Takemichi Matsuda, Gabriele Moroni, Randy Solari. So an interesting mix now coming from both the Asian and the American series. But interestingly, Kasai out of 3rd place in early to give way to Juuso Pohakka. So that could be a very inspired decision to give Pohakka as much driving time as possible. So there through is Pirro. That puts him up into 5th place overall now because of Kasai coming in. Also into the pit lane has come from 238, the car of Toshiyuki Ochiai, to give way to Afik Yazid, who's another very quick young driver. Remember, Yazid was very successful in years past with Keiko Zolino. We've got another car that has come in and I think stopped in the wrong place, which is Gabriele Moroni's car. So his team have come running down the pit lane because he was in the wrong pit box. So confusion reigns in the pit as teams try and cycle their correct drivers through. There is what's becoming a very busy pit lane. More and more cars are arriving. There 146 in the background from the American series comes in. That is Brandon Godovic to give way to ex-GP2 GP3 driver Connor Daly, who's not raced here but he has tested here in GP3 many moons ago. Right, so 298 Gabriele Moroni is there. Door shuts and that car's going to be released shortly. So you have to be stationary for a minute, and then it's 24 seconds if you've got 2 drivers, 27 seconds if you've got 1 driver of drive time down the pit lane. And if you get it wrong, then an alert is offered up to the race director and he can take the appropriate action. We'll worry about penalties and how that works if we need to worry about them. Gabriele Moroni rejoins just there. You can see in the pit lane just ahead of 238. Very close indeed, that, between the two of them, but it means that Afik Yazid has to slot back in behind. A flying lap is 1 minute and 43, so you lose the best part of a lap, not a full lap, but the best part of a lap on the pit stops, and a challenge made there, look, by the traffic going up towards turn 2. So Yuki Nemoto leads the way. There he is, out on his own now. 3-second cushion he has built up already. We have got 26 minutes of the race and counting still to run, but right now Yuki Nemoto it is building this gap over Van der Drift in 2nd place, but it becomes a rather more jumbled order because of people rejoining after pit stops. The leading American car is still 109, which is Jacob Eidson to give way yet to Damon Oki. They're the Pro-Am champions this year already after a hugely dominant season. They've had 9 wins, so unlikely to be caught in the race, never mind having already secured the championship. For race 2, of course, it's the American drivers that start at the front, so they get perhaps the greater attention in race 2. But right now, there in 2nd place overall is Van der Drift, leading his class pro from the Asian Championship. What we need to see is where that car is going to be relative to Juuso Pohakka after the pit stops, because right now, Van der Drift and Chen will be ahead in the championship. That point for class pole important yesterday. How much longer will Van der Drift stay out there? I would imagine he'll stay out to the end of the window, whereas you saw Pohakka come in at the start of it, maximising the amount of time available to the faster driver. Another lap done by Van der Drift then. Over the line he goes, and Yuki Nemoto is doing exactly the same thing. He too is staying out there, building up the advantage all the time. 4.2 seconds now before he hands the car over to Alex Al, who's not a slow driver, but he's not as quick as Nemoto is. More and more of them pouring over the timing line, but some for the pit lane on this lap. Right now then, Van der Drift chips away, see what he can do, matching Nemoto in the 1st sector, and a replay here of more fun and games. So Gabriele Moroni in 298 being given a little tickle at the back by the Brendan Leach car, and bodywork flies. Moroni is back on track after a pit stop. Leach has yet to give way to Massimo Vignali, and that leaves debris on the track. That is at turn 13, the curve at Lorenzo. So right now, Yuki Nemoto is looking oh so strong, isn't he, as he comes down towards turn 6, the curve at Dry Sack. Don't forget you're in the sherry producing region, so Dry Sack sponsoring the corner. And Nemoto 4 seconds clear of anybody else, ticks off the laps. 277 is running in 3rd place, Dan Wells. Now Dan shares with Philippe Kadori, the wealthy Hong Kong businessman who has a great passion for cars. Dan Wells, underfunded British driver, was one of the first Brits to realise that a career and a living could be made racing in Asia, so moved to race in China in the Formula Pilota, then Formula Masters series, and he is doing a good job in this area and in this car. Now, down in the pit lane, it's almost time for tea, I think. Run up at Atapatu is responsible for Elephant Tea, and Marietta is ready and waiting for the pit stops.
I know, David, a lot of things are happening right now, but I think I'm gonna make a pause for a tea, because this tea, elephant tea, is for a very good cause.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is for a very good cause. We are doing conservation of wild elephants in Sri Lanka with the proceeds that we gain from selling elephant tea.
And Ron, you were one of the first drivers back in the 90s, one of the first American drivers to compete with Lamborghini in International GT Racing Series. With your experience, what do you think of how much the car racing has evolved?
Oh, Lamborghini has evolved tremendously. We went racing in '96 with a Lamborghini SVR. My car number was 24, and this is now about the 5th generation of Lamborghini GT racing, and now they are world champions.
And what does it mean for you to be back again racing with Lamborghini?
Oh, I love Lamborghini, and it has been a great pleasure for me to be racing with Lamborghini for all these years, and for a good cause that we are promoting for the conservation efforts in Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much, and cheers.
It's always time for tea, isn't it? How very quintessentially British. Well done. Ron Atapatu returning to racing, Sri Lankan by birth, but an American citizen, as there you see the race leader come into the pit lane. And in the very early days of Lamborghini Super Trofeo, or Super Trophy Lamborghini as it was, he drove in Europe, has had a long time away, built up his business, his children, enthusiastic petrol heads as well. He's come back to racing, and as one of his many business interests, as he's just been explaining, is elephant tea. So the money raised through the many flavours of the tea goes to conserving elephants and the conservation of wildlife in Sri Lanka, and it's very dear to his heart. Yuki Nomoto gives way from the race lead to Alex Au. Whether or not Ron Atapatu can be encouraged to do elephant espresso, I'm not sure, but I could do with some of that. Emanuele Pirro takes over the lead of the race now, because not only is Nomoto in, but also Van der Drift's car is dropping down. I think that has also been in to give way to Evan Chen. Need to just double check that while we were listening to Atapatu's interview. Dramas here in replay. That's many of the Americans all squabbling amongst themselves coming up through turn 2. And elbows out, but they just about get away with it. Yes, the one that was really being given the squeeze on the outside line there was Paolo Roberti, Cedric Sprazzuoli's car. Sprazzuoli has now taken it over. And I'm getting worried about Van der Drift, because it's not being shown as Evan Chen behind the wheel, but the car has fallen back, suggesting that it has had a pit stop. So need to keep an eye to that on the end of the next lap. We've got a meatball flag, mechanical warning flag being shown to Sheena Monk, who's gone back out again. And the race order is, of course, shuffling all the time now with the pit stops. There, a dive through on the inside line. 129 goes through. That is the Richard Antonucci Corey Lewis car hustling its way up the order. Richard Antonucci was the start driver, and Corey Lewis is now behind the wheel. So, charging on. As soon as the pit window closes, and it is about to now, then the order will start to settle down a little bit more. But I think Emanuele Pirro has missed the window. There is 222. Now, unless that car was sneaked in while we weren't looking, but it's in now. But this is too late. So Pirro comes in, but this is after the window was closed. So Emanuele Pirro has missed the pit window. He's in to do the mandatory stop, but Emanuele, I'm afraid, he's too late. Oh dear. So first time out in Super Trofeo, and Emanuele Pirro, who runs within the Asian Championship, is in too late. He's left it a lap long, and there's going to be a penalty for that, I would have thought. So out gets Pirro. Into the car gets Tony Cairoli, 9 times world motocross champion. But first of all, they're not ready because they need the little seat cushion for him. Emanuele knows all about double driver races, of course, after his huge success with Audi at Le Mans, 5 victories. But it's been a while since he's done modern GT racing. Again, some of the racing he's done at Goodwood has been this kind of mini enduro. However, as I say, the team has left that too late. So that is after the pit window had closed that the Automobili Lamborghini entry comes in. And we'll wait and see what the race director applies as a penalty. If you're under on your pit stop time, then there's a penalty. But if you miss the window, then it's going to be something else altogether. So that now gives us Alex Au in the lead ahead of Evan Chen, And then Puhaka taking over from, in 2:63, the car started by Kasai in third place, and he still needs to have a go to get onto terms with Evan Chen. Now, the investigations for pit stops are coming, and the first one is 1:29. So this is the significant Corey Lewis, Richard Antonucci pit stop that is being looked at, because I fear it may have been under the regulation time. So Lewis and Antonucci, who remember came here leading pro in the American Series, being investigated. There is Tony Cairoli out on track, but he too may well find himself in hot water with the officials, because that car stopped after the window. And even if you're in a works entry, that doesn't get you out of the hot water. So right now, Alex Au, there he is, 266 leads the way. Where is Evan Chen? He's a little bit nearer to him, is he not, in the green car? So that potentially is going to change, and then we need to see where Yusup Puhaka is relative to Chen. Down they come. So it's building up nicely now, 4 seconds covering the top 3. But you get the feeling that that car in the lead is on borrowed time, because Evan Chen has a look up the inside into the centre chicane. It is hard to overtake around here, but he's going to have a red hot go, that's for sure. Trying to force a mistake out of Au. He's through a gap on the inside. There's half a gap on the inside line. They're going up through turn 12, the Curva Ferrari, into the Curva Lorenzo. And there, through into the lead, goes Evan Chen. Out wide goes Alex Au. And is that going to bring Puhaka through on the inside line as well? Let's see. Chen leads the way. Puhaka second. So Yusup Puhaka 8/10 back. There it is. Look, the black and orange car. There's the back marking American entry just up the road ahead that Ron Atapatu has handed over to Patrick Liddy. There it is, the green car. That's the Elephant T entry. So as soon as Patrick Liddy for US Racetronics gets out of the way, that will open the door for Yusup Puhaka. But he's stuck for the moment, and that means that right now the lead is being built up by Evan Chen. So through they turn, down towards the end of the back straight. And now to the inside line, dives. Yusup Puhaka goes through, and that now should set him off in pursuit of the race leader, except that there's another back marker to get past. There it is, number 244. So that car is Clement Lee. Easily disposed of on the inside line, though. Puhaka goes through. So 268, Evan Chen leads the pack, and now the car to watch is the black and orange one in second spot. Can Yusup Puhaka bring down that gap sufficiently to have a go? The traffic has been a little bit less than cooperative on this lap. Fastest lap of the race, still Paolo Roberti from earlier on. The leading car out of America is now Sandy Mitchell, the young Scottish driver, in 101. Sandy Mitchell ahead of Cedric Sprazzioli and then Damon Occhi. That's the order. Corey Lewis fourth. Connor Daly, Derek Daly's son, Grand Prix driver Derek Daly's son. He is in fifth in the American part of the race at the moment, as Puhaka heads up towards the timing line. Let's now see the gap there. Evan Chen leads. He'll break the beam now, goes through. And the margin is 1.3 seconds with 15 minutes to go. Third place is Alex Au, as you see 108 go through, that being now Mel Johnson, who is on target this weekend to win the Lamborghini Cup within the North American Championship. So, Emanuele Pirro has a little explaining to do, Marietta. He came in after the window had closed. However, let's hear from Emanuele. Marietta is with him.
Emanuele, looks like you were a bit too late coming into the pits for the mandatory pit stop. What happened?
Well, we wanted to stretch the stint to the maximum. The engineer called me, but there was nothing on the radio, so I don't know, there was a misunderstanding. I think we might overshoot it by a fraction, I don't know. Yeah, there was a misunderstanding. But apart from that, I just want to say a big thank you to Lamborghini. It's been a huge fun, massive enjoyment. I was trying to be as a guest, not to be on the way of the leaders, but sometimes, you know, the game was getting a bit wild, and I thought, you know, for God's sake, I tried to be kind, and then you know, we were using different weapons, so it was difficult to tune in a way to defend my right and not to be too aggressive with the others. But it's a big learning curve. I realized what it means to follow a car from close. I never did before in this car. In other cars, of course, yes. And I can only say it was a wonderful ride.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again through the weekend.
Off the road and a punctured tyre possibly. That is Patrick Liddy in the Renato Patu car. Yep, tyre's gone down, look. So Patrick Liddy off the road. Whoops, suddenly the car snaps sideways. He's trying to limp it back, but Patrick Liddy is heading for the pits, and also heading for the pits is 129. So this is significant. Richard Antonucci in Corey Lewis's car gets a drive-through for not respecting the pit time. If you are within a second of the pit stop time, there's the replay of Patrick Liddy off the road. The tyre's already gone down. If you are under by 1 second, within under a second, you get 3 times that difference. So let's say you miss the pit stop time by a couple of tenths, you get a time penalty of 3 times whatever you were under. But if you are under your pit stop time by over a second, then it's a drive-through. And that's what's happening for Antonucci and Lewis. So significant dramas for the championship leaders in the American Series early on in the weekend. So right now, it is Evan Chen leading, and it's 1.7 seconds to Juuso Pohaka, and actually last time he was quicker. Renato Patu's car, Patrick Liddy at the wheel of it, into the pit lane for that punctured tyre to be changed. That's the overall leading car. Then you can see in the background, Juuso Pohaka is pushing on. Now, where is 129 in the American race? Third. But Corey Lewis is going to lose places when he serves that drive-through penalty. There is Chen up towards the timing line. 11 3/4 minutes of the race are still to go. Over the timing line heads Juuso Pohaka. And now as the cars accelerate over the line, it's 1.5 seconds between them. On board with Pohaka, chasing after Chen. So 1.5 seconds is what he's trying to make up. It is not easy to do, clearly, because these are all identical cars. The car of Evan Chen is run by the Gamma racing team. It's the FFF racing team that operates Pohaka's car. That's a squad that's had a hugely successful year, because not only with the wins in the Asian Lamborghini Super Trofeo, but also dominant in Blancpain GT racing with the World Challenge Europe and with the Endurance Cup, and then the combined championships falling to that team during the course of the year as well. And there'll be much to celebrate at the Lamborghini prize giving for player manager Andrea Caldarelli tomorrow. Recently married Andrea Caldarelli as well. So there is Juuso Pohaka carving his way through the traffic. In the first sector of the lap, he was 1.5 seconds back, 1.3, 1.2, 1.2. So net over the sectors, he is closing a little. Down he comes, heads towards the chicane. But second place is not enough. Pohaka needs to close on Chen, needs to get ahead of him. 10 more minutes of the race remain. It's been a busy race, busy start to the day. The teams have been here really all week. They've had days of testing, and then yesterday was free practice and qualifying. And then tomorrow they have the warm-up and the qualifying for the World Final, and a race in the afternoon, and the second World Final race is on Sunday. So into the last 10 minutes, and the lead gap is down to 1.3 seconds. Pohaka looking quick, but not quick enough. He's not hacking away, is he, at Evan Chen's margin? He's not closing on him. He's not bringing down that gap sufficiently to suggest he's going to have a go. Now, third and fourth, there's another good battle developing, because Alex Al is being chased by Afik Yazid for Pro-Am honours, and then fifth is pretty close as well, 1.6 seconds separating Sandy Mitchell, the young Scot, leading the American race for a second win of the year, from Cedric Sprazzuoli, the Monegasque driver. So Sandy Mitchell is hanging on in 101, the car that he shares with Andrea Amici, to a potential victory in the American section of the race here. Sandy was a winner at Road America earlier on in the year with Andrea Amici, and now as the cars power their way once more up towards the loop round curve 8, more back markers for Evan Chen to negotiate, gets around the outside of the slower car. Pohaka to the eye, looking closer, the gap 11 tenths of a second, so in these last 9 minutes he's having a real push. The Roger Dubuis watch on the side of the car, weaving his way through the traffic. And And down at the chicane, was that a slight error by Chen, just pushing a little harder, braking as late as he dares. Juuso Pohaka then onto the power. Now this is the view. Again, it's a short straight, hard on the brakes. Chen perhaps a little bit deep into the hairpin. It's tempting to say the pressure is telling, isn't it now? Evan Chen just overdriving at times ever so slightly. He knows this is a fight not only for the race, but for the championship. One more race to go later on in the day, which will decide it all. Through turn one they head. The gap is down to half a second. It's less than ever now between the two leading cars. 8 minutes to go. More back markers ahead. All of a sudden, this is looking really good for Juuso Pohaka. Through that long left-hander now, out of turn 4 up towards the Curvacito Pons. Back marker ahead. This corner, which climbs and tightens out of turn 5 onto the back part of the circuit, and Pohaka sees this playing into his hands. Takashi Kasai looks on there, look from the pit bunker. Is his car going to be victorious? Well, first of all, they've got to dive bomb the traffic through on the inside there to get past Dayoshi Hara, who gets out of the way. Another back marker is up the road, so half a second at the start of the lap, 4/10 in that most recent sector. Chen through on the inside line, and there is Pohaka staying with him all the way around the lap, but he's running out of options now. A flying lap is 1 minute and 44. Fastest lap 1 minute and 41.8 from Ruberti from very early on in the race. So there are the race leaders. Down towards the center chicane they come. Evan Chen just needs to not make a mistake because it's hard to find a way through, but certainly Pohaka now is showing better pace, and he is closing. Out of the chicane they come. The run down towards the Curva Lorenzo at turn 13. How many more laps are they going to get out of this? 5 maybe? There is Evan Chen, overall race leader, and this will put him into the championship lead. Second coming into the race, potentially the leaders of the championship with one more race to go over the timing line. 0.589 of a second between them now. Pohaka brakes late, turns in. So 2.68 plays 2.63. Evan Chen ahead of Juuso Pohaka, and Pohaka has certainly not given up. Juuso did race in Spanish F4 for a time, so he's got a bit of Jerez knowledge perhaps that helps him over others. Moved to the SMP North European Zone Formula 4 Championship, and then last year went to Super Trofeo Asia. He was Pro-Am champion. Last year he was the runner-up in the Middle East Championship, which runs January-February at Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and then concentrating on another season of Asian racing. But another perhaps undiscovered talent really, Juuso Pohaka. He was certainly worth getting excited about last year in the Asian Championship, and again this season. It'd be good to have him on a European stage and show people what he's capable of. However, right now, what he wants to prove he's capable of is being champion, but he's got to get past Evan Chen in order to do that. Chen, who was Carrera Cup Asia Pro-Am champion, second in Pro-Am in Lamborghini last year, so he's another successful driver, and he turns his way now up towards turn 10 with the clock ticking on down. As you see, we're almost at the 5-minute mark. There he is. The Lamborghini Taipei entry comes right, left up the curb, right again out of the center chicane, and that takes you to Curva Ferrari. There is Alex Au, who still leads in Pro-Am at the moment, and his margin over Afik Yazid is coming down, but it's still 7 seconds. Afik Yazid is lapping quicker, comfortably quicker, but I'm not sure he's going to get there in time. The fastest man on the circuit right now, in fact, is Cedric Sbrazzioli, who is really charging, and Corey Lewis is in 12th place overall. Remember, he got that drive-through penalty. There's a car with a problem, and that is Tony Cairoli. Now, they missed the pit window, and now Cairoli is a retirement from the race. Big frustration then for the Automobili Lamborghini entry, going no further. 4 minutes and change on the clock here at Jerez. Race 1 of 2 for the Asian and American Championship Showdown. So the Piero Cairoli car is pushed away. And Evan Chen leads by 0.442 of a second. There it is. Look, it's game on between the two of them. Chen doing what he has to do at turn 2, just not make a mistake. Slow car keeps out of the way, lets the leaders go by. So Chen almost there, almost now with one hand on that winner's trophy. Can he keep out of trouble? He and Van der Drift, one at Sepang in the first race, one at Sepang in the second round of the championship. They won round 4 at Suzuka, round 5 at Fuji, round 7 in Yong'an, and then round 10 at Shanghai. It's been an ultra successful season. 6 victories they've had. Could this be the 7th? Not if that man has a say in it. Juuso Puhakka closer now than he has ever been, and this is absolutely crucial, not just for the race outcome, but for the championship. Puhakka goes wide at 13. Now can he shoot the gun as he comes over the timing line and get the run up towards turn 1? Here we go, over the timing line. They'll break the beam now, and the margin between them is 0.275 of a second. Puhakka closer than ever, brakes late, the car squirms under braking as he turns into the corner. Chen under huge pressure. Puhakka darts to the inside line, trying to force a mistake out of Evan Chen, and Chen, no question, is on the limit now. The car dancing around. Evan Chen, the Chinese Taipei driver, keeps the Finn Juuso Puhakka at bay, but for how much longer? There is time for one more lap after this, no question. Out of turn 5, gaps widened a little bit there. This is where now Puhakka needs to mount that bid once again. He's going to try and hustle on and close up. Turn 6 really is an outbraking opportunity, but he's not near enough. He's lost out on that last couple of corners. So Chen breathes a very, very tiny sigh of relief for the moment. Runs out wide over the curb there, possibly a little bit wider than does Puhakka there in 2nd place. Out of the curve at Aspar here, turn 8. So Puhakka has dropped back a little. It's going to be one more lap to go. Inching up once again out of turn 10. There is the Pro-Am leader, Alex Au. You can see he's 26 seconds off the lead. See how far he's dropped back in number 266. That was the car that led early on in the hands of Yuki Nemoto. But right now, he's still on target for the class win, and that is the aim. A class victory is what they're after here. So where are the race leaders? They will be coming up towards the timing line any moment. Evan Chen leads Juuso Puhakka. And as they go through, 0.275 of a second it was. One more lap to go, 0.473. The gap, therefore, has gone up a little bit between the 2 leading cars. So now Puhakka has got a lot of work to do to try to get back onto terms with the leader. Is he going to be able to force a mistake out of Chen? He's close, but not near enough to have a go. Now, it was around this section a lap ago where he lost time. On this lap, he's going to try and push and push and push and get onto terms. Here he comes. And delayed in the traffic is Chen. This is the chance for Puhakka up the inside line. Can't find a way through there. But that was very close indeed, going up towards turn 5. The back marker got in the way of Chen. Now the run up towards turn 6. Speed builds all the time. Look, Chen goes to the inside line. Tries to defend. Cover off any move by Puhakka, who breaks late. But he doesn't want to go on the outside line. He's going to try and get the undercut here out of the corner. Can he get the run? Can he get the run? Not quite. This is the problem now. Which way do you go? Because the road goes left and it goes right. So if you try the inside at one corner, you might be on the wrong line for the next. Puhakka is running out of options because they're up to turn 9 and it's a 13-corner lap. Chen, I think, has done enough to hang on to it. That was very close indeed in the traffic. There's a desperately nervous there. Look, Takashi Kasai. Chris van der Drift will be looking on from his pit box, seeing Evan Chen lead the way. Puhakka brakes late, maybe too late into the chicane. He's really got one last chance, and that's coming out of the hairpin over the timing line. It could be a drag race to the line, depending on who gets the run out of the hairpin now. Puhakka goes for the inside line. Is that going to be a chance? Not quite. He's close, the door is open. Now they come up towards the line. Has Evan Chen done enough? Yes, 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 yes is the answer, because the checkered flag is going to be at the ready. Evan Chen wins by 0.247 of a second. What a way to end the first race of the weekend here at Jerez. It is a win for Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift. Takashi Kasai is a frustrated second. Puhakka could not quite do enough, and that means that Chen and van der Drift will take over the lead of the championship, but only just. There is 103, and that coming bravely up on the inside line for the flag is Randy Solari, but that's a car. It's quite a long way back in 24th place overall. Now, where is the winning American? It's 101, Sandy Mitchell. I know he's Scottish, but he's from the American Championship, so Sandy Mitchell going strongly. But that is the overall race winner, Evan Chen. Really good drive, really good defensive drive that by Evan Chen to hang on and score a class victory from Juuso Pohaka, because that was certainly a difficult stint that he put in. Afik Yazid ahead of Alex Au, incidentally, to win in Pro-Am. Hulin Han wins the Am Cup in the Asian part of the race. And what about the Lamborghini Cup within the Asian section? We'll confirm that in a moment. That, I think, is going to be a win for Dai Yoshihara ahead of Clement Lee, and then Prabhakaran Kumar. So, Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici take a second win of the year in the American Series from Cedric Sbrazioli and Paolo Roberti, and then Connor Daly and Brandon Godovic third, and Corey Lewis and Richard Antonucci only fourth, so bad news for them. What about Pro-Am? That's going to be a win, is it not, for Oki and Eidson again, ahead of... who's second in Pro-Am? 169, I would offer you, which is Eric Curran and William Hubble. And then Patrick Liddy and Ron Atapatu, despite that punctured tyre. In the Am competition, that will be 106, Stephen Agakane. From 163, Mackay Snow. And then the third American Am would have been Cameron Castles, but that's not a finisher, I don't believe. And then so quickly, the Lamborghini Cup in the American Series is, well, I'll come to that in a second. Here's the overall result, first of all. Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift, the race winners from Takashi Kasai and Juuso Pohaka. Third, Afik Yazid and Takeuchi Ochiai from Alex Au, Yuki Nomoto, top two in Asian Pro-Am. Fifth overall, winning American Pro, Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell. And sixth, Cedric Sbrazioli and Paolo Roberti. And there you see the rest of the result, with Hulin Han taking a class victory, Matsuda and Yoshihara taking a class victory as well. And winning Lamborghini Cup driver was, from the American Series, Matt Dicken from Randy Solari, and then the car of Mel Johnson and Thomas Lovelady. Right, Marietta has race winners, and what a race it was. Marietta.
Guys, you really tried to the end, because you knew this was not only about the race, this was about the championship.
Yeah, that's right. We were leading by 2 points, and this is we just want to make it easier, so we want to win the race one. So in the race two, we just need to finish the race. But you know, it's not always go as we want. So it was a really hard race. They were really quick, but also I also made a mistake at the start. But he did a massive, fantastic job, and he catch up. But it looks like it's really hard to overtake. So we'll see how it goes in the race two.
Sure, you're disappointed because you missed on the victory, but what an amazing effort! What an amazing end of the race.
Yeah, we tried our best, and it wasn't enough today. Our opponent was really fast. I catch him with the help of some slower cars ahead, and but yeah, couldn't overtake. I had a lot of overtake tries, but none of them succeeded today. So let's try another time in the race too, and hopefully we can win. Thank you.
Well, that's Juuso Pohaka, Takashi Kasai, second overall. It wasn't for the want of trying, as you heard from Juuso Pohaka, that they didn't score the win. Tried oh so hard. So Juuso Pohaka in the end, 0.247 of a second back at flag fall. Very, very close indeed. Here at Jerez, the live stream continues for the race action all day, and the next race is going to be for the European teams, and that should be getting underway round about 11:50. So we've got about an hour or so, but first of all, there is the Leviathan podium ceremony. And that is 8 podiums, because you've got 4 classes in 2 championships. So settle down. The podium ceremonies will be underway shortly. First 3 cars of each group to the podium. Well, in some cases, I don't think we've got 3 in the class, which will just jolly things along a little bit. But quite a few retirements out of that race. We saw Sheena Monk with damage. Also, Gabriele Moroni's car got a bit of rear damage, that retired. Max Weiser didn't finish, nor did, as we saw in the gravel, Ashton Harrison. And Cameron Cassels we lost quite early on in the race as well. So quite a few hard luck stories from a number of drivers in the opening race of the weekend. And relatively speaking, there's not that much time for everyone to get themselves ready for race 2 either, because that comes up this afternoon. But they're very happy drivers from the classes. Dayoshi Hara and his co-driver, which is Takemichi Matsuda, taking for the YH Racing team, another good result. So here at Jerez, it is approaching 11 o'clock, Friday morning, part of this very, very busy weekend. The Lamborghini World Final that has been to America, been to Malaysia, but over the last few years has found a happy home in Europe. And this year we are in Jerez, so it's always a level playing field. Right, what about the third place drivers? Afik Yazid taking third. Marietta.
Guys, obviously you got a lot of things to celebrate today.
Yes, I'm so happy for the team. We are 2019 Pro-Am champion. We won the championship for this year, and then for the race, so, my teammate did a really good stint, and then we had a good car. We struggled a lot during this weekend, but then yesterday we worked so hard with the car, so now the car is good. We are looking forward for the race too, and then incredible race. I overtook the lead car on the last lap, so yeah. Again, we won in Jerez, so I'm happy for the team. So we look forward for the race too.
You made it look very easy, but I'm sure it wasn't easy out there today.
No, very difficult. Me, too much slow. Sorry.
Very difficult. Yeah, he struggled with the car with the full tank, but I think he did a really good job. We just need to work a little bit more on the car for tomorrow race, and then for tomorrow is the practice for the World Final. So we really look forward for the race tomorrow and for this weekend.
Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Some more rather crude maths would suggest that Huilin Han is the champion in the AM category as well, because I reckon he's now 21 points ahead of the Saratharanicals and can't be caught. So Huilin Han has taken provisionally a championship as well, and Philippe Kadori will be going to the podium as well. Dan Wells sharing with him. They take third in Pro-Am. What does that do for Clement Lee? Also just thinking about championships. I think he's probably won the Lamborghini Cup as well. They were second, so that gives Clement Lee 12 points. Who got the class pole position? Gabriele Moroni, I think I'm right in saying. So 12 points gives 132. Takemichi Matsuda's car, along with Dayoshi Hara, that got 15 points. So 121, 132. Oh no, that's still up for grabs actually. That could still, I think, be decided provisionally in the last race. So it's looking unlikely that Matsuda and Yoshihara would do it. It needs Clement Lee to not finish, but he's looking as though he's almost there, Clement Lee, within the championship, because he was outscored by Matsuda within that race. So that keeps the Lamborghini Cup alive provisionally going into the last race. As for America, I'll come back to that in a moment, because I think we're almost ready for the podium ceremony to get underway, and the drivers will be brought forward very shortly onto the podium for the first of the celebrations. As ever, the American and Asian Championships running together. I was mentioning a little while ago about where we've been to for the World Final. Valencia when it rained, then Imola, last year Vallelonga, this year Jerez. Next year's calendar's already announced, and Misano on the Adriatic is where next year is being scheduled. The idea being that it's somewhere that the European series does not visit, because then it is this level playing field that everybody has an equal chance. You don't disadvantage the American or the Asian teams, for example. So right now, the coordinators, John Flynn from the Asian Series, Chris Ward from the North American Championship, trying to organise their drivers so that we've got everybody that we need. And you look down on the pit lane where the European squads are getting themselves ready, because it won't be that long, actually, after the podium is done, that they'll be out on track. And that's another key championship that we need to have resolved this weekend, of course, going down to the wire. So as soon as the officials are happy, drivers will be released. The podium midway down the pit straight on top of the buildings, and therefore there it is in view of the grandstand, which isn't as busy today because it is Friday when all said and done, but it gets busier and busier over the course of the weekend. So here at Jerez de la Frontera, we are just about ready to go, I think, and we will have the drivers called forward very shortly. So there we have the podium ready, and it's going to be the Asian Championship drivers that are called forward first, and should be the overall situation, which therefore means that we have a pro duo and a pro-am team, but potentially it might be that we just do the classes. We'll wait and see what the organisers decide, and that could be, in fact, why there is the little delay, just to make sure that everybody knows what's going to happen, because with only 2 cars in the pro class from the Asian Championship, this is where things get a bit more complicated. So, we are just about ready. Out come the drivers then, with there for the pro class, Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen for the top step. For second place, Yusuf Bohaka and Takashi Kasai. And then for third overall, Afik Yazid and his co-driver from the Asian Championship, which is Toshiyuki Ochiai. So that's the overall top 3. And now John Flynn, who is the coordinator of the Asian Championship, steps forward to hand over the trophies to a very happy, there you see Toshiyuki Ochiai, then Afik Yazid, the Malaysian driver, there for Yusuf Bohaka, and a slightly frustrated, no doubt, Takashi Kasai, the second place trophies, very spectacular trophies, and based on a brake disc. And there, Chris van der Drift, all smiles, new championship leader, along with Yifan Evan Chen, his co-driver, and that could be a crucial result, setting them up going into the last race this afternoon. In contrast, there you see Takashi Kasai somewhat rather more somber-faced. The Pirelli trophy goes to the winners as well, and now everybody is being marshalled together. Felicio Pavesi of Pirelli Motorsport was the representative a moment ago. Now everybody looks to the front. So Chris van der Drift and Evan Chen, after another very impressive drive, a 7th win of the season, are thinking about celebrating, but also need overalls for later on in the day. So drivers head off the podium, and then we will turn our attention to the classes next. Pro-Am should be the next podium that we get to. So here at Jerez, podium is dressed ready. Quick look back while we wait. Some of the important elements of the race. That was when Bohaka so nearly got ahead of Evan Chen in the traffic. made a move, didn't quite work, but not for the want of trying, and he just sat on the tail, didn't he, of Chen right the way to the end. But Evan Chen did a really good job of withstanding that pressure to win the race. So a win in the end for the Gamma Racing team. And now we have the Pro-Am teams on the podium. Dan Wells and Philippe Kaddouri taking third place. Second place going the way here of Alex Au and Yuki Inamoto. And back onto the podium come the combination of Afik Yazid and Toshiyuki Ochiai. John Flynn, the Asia Pacific Motorsport coordinator, comes onto the podium to present the trophies. Philippe Kaddouri then at the far end receives his trophy. He's somebody that's got better and better and better over the course of the season. And Dan Wells, as I keep banging on about, much underrated driver. So the Lamborghini trophies handed out there for Alex Au and Yuki Inamoto. And the class winners, already been on the podium once, but now from the third step overall to the top step in class, Afik Ikhwan Yazid and Toshiyuki Ochiai in the Hojust racing car. So they get the gold trophies, and now from Pirelli, Ferruccio Pavesi from Pirelli Motorsport hands the winner's trophy out to them as well. So a good result for Toshiyuki Ochiai and Afik Yazid. They had a win at Sepang, they had a win at Fuji, and then they had an outright win at Fuji, one more in Korea, and then 2 in Shanghai. So that for them also is a 7th win of the season now. Photographs taken, and the champagne is there if they so desire, but no, I'm not bothered, says Afik. I've got another race to come later on. There is Dan Wells enjoying the moment. So 7 victories for Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift. 7 wins now for Afik Yazid and Toshiyuki Ochiai in the Pro-Am competition. Right, the AMs are going to be next as we rattle through the classes. Philippe Kaddouri, all smiles. And so too is Yuki Inamoto, taking second in class. Led, of course, the race outright early on. Now the Lamborghini squad arrives to dress the podium, get all the trophies and the bottles of champagne in the right place. Some of the drivers for the next race, the European race, getting themselves psyched up, you saw in the background as well. There is the very busy Parc Ferme area underneath the podium. And so the next podium we get to will be the AMs from the Asian Championship. So third should be Zhen Lo and Angelo Negrao. Then for second place, the Sari Thoranicals, Sarun and Saravat. And then the top step of the podium should go to the new champion, Huilin Han. So Huilin Han onto the top step. And the Asian Championship drivers congratulate him as well as celebrate their own results. A busy John Flynn arrives to present the trophies, the Asia Pacific Motorsport coordinator. Hands the trophies to Angelo Negrao and to Zhen Lo. There for the second place drivers, Sarun and Saravut Saritharanakul. And to Huilin Han, it'll be the top step, it'll be another win. That's a 6th victory of the season for Huilin Han, who, even though he's Chinese, lives in Orange County in America and raced in China GT before going into Lamborghini racing last year. 6th in the AM Cup, 4th he was in the Middle East Championship at the start of the year, but now a class champion. And their confirmation of the top 3. Han, the Saritharanakuls, and then Lo and Negro for third in the class. Angelo Negro from the Asian Le Mans Series, from Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific to China Endurance, and now into Lamborghini racing. So that's the third of the 8 podiums done, and the celebrations get underway. quill in hand, very happy indeed with that result. And then we have the Lamborghini Cup podium, and then we do it all over again for the Americans in a moment or two as well. There, the drivers head for the podium. And next up, as I say, will be the Lamborghini Cup, which is aimed at the real rookies, the real gentleman racers, or indeed lady racers these days, because there's an increasing number, certainly in the American Championship, of lady racers in Super Trofeo, but really aimed at the rookies, the less experienced drivers. There from the North American Championship, the Habal Racing team. So out come the drivers for Lamborghini Cup, where Kuma Prabhakaran takes third. Second goes to Paul Wong and Clement Lee. And the top step of the podium is for Takemichi Matsuda and Daijiro Yoshihara. And it's that man Flynn again who appears. Handshakes all round and trophies to be presented. There you see a driver that only started racing last year, Kuma Prabhakaran, another big enthusiast for his motorsport, for fast cars, and improving all the time. Then second place for Paul Wong and Clement Lee. And Clement Lee close to the championship, but outscored in that race by Daijiro Yoshihara, and Takemichi Matsuda just puts the pressure on going into the last race of the championship season. And there, Ferruccio Pavesi from Pirelli Motorsport hands over the trophy. Now there are photographs to be taken, and everybody being marshalled into the right place. Complimenti from Pirelli, and then with everybody happy with their photographs, the Asian podium at the end of race one is concluded, and we turn next to the North American Championship, for which the drivers will be brought forward in a few moments. As if the official photographs aren't enough, Daijiro Yoshihara wants a selfie. And there's the champagne as well. So congratulations to the Lamborghini Cup top three, and of course to all of the drivers on the podium from the Super Trofeo Asia. They now make their way off the podium, and we will get set very shortly for the Americans, who will be up next. So more photographs. This time it's all the drivers together. And next up will be the American podium, as I say. Philip Cadori in the background there, the British driver Dan Wells. On the front you see Kuma Prabhakaran. A real mix of ages and nationalities as well within the Asian series. John Flynn telling everyone to hold the trophies aloft, which is fine if you're at the front, not so good if you're at the back, because you suddenly get obscured by a Lamborghini. However, never mind. There'll be lots and lots and lots of celebrations this weekend, because tomorrow evening is the championship prize giving. And then, of course, there is the World Final prize giving on the Sunday, straight after the race. So, the Asian Championship runners head from the podium. And the American Championship will be next. There, the overall winner in slow motion. You see how much lean there is in the suspension as the cars run wide over the curb, but a good drive by Evan Chen and Chris van der Drift to score honours in our first race of the weekend. That car operated by Gamma Racing for the driver from Chinese Taipei, Yifan Evan Chen, and for the New Zealander, Chris van der Drift. So the next race is going to be absolutely crucial. They've just put themselves into the lead of the championship. And now there is the possibility of a championship victory as well, because they've got the point for pole and outscored their rivals by a further 3 points going into the last race. So Kasai and Pahaka are on the back foot now. There's 2 points between them. And now add 15 to the score of Chen and Van der Drift. Things start to change. So our next podium is getting underway for the American drivers, and this now brings forward the overall top 3, and we should have Connor Daly and Brandon Godovic as 3rd overall in America. Chris Ward is the bespectacled gentleman trying to encourage his drivers onto the podium. There's Connor Daly. And Brandon Godovic joins him now out on the podium. So that's 3rd overall. We've got that, kick-starting things. The Precision Performance Motorsports squad. Then for 2nd place will be Paolo Roberti and Cedric Sprazzuoli. And then the category winners should be Andrea Amici and the young Scotsman Sandy Mitchell. There's a hat issue, but we've got that sorted. And we've lost our winners, Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici. It's not for the first time they've been victorious this year, but Andrea, who's been Super Trofeo champion in class before, there he is, onto the podium, and there's Sandy Mitchell. So our race winners from the American Championship, a 2nd win of the season, and that's very important as well, thinking championship for later on in the day.
Para los integrantes del podium. A continuación, Chris Ward, senior manager.
And so now the trophies to be presented. Chris Ward steps forward to hand over the awards to 3rd place drivers, Brandon Godovic and Connor Daly. Brandon had a bit of a shuffle around of co-drivers over the season, the former NASCAR driver, but Connor Daly, who we saw in international single-seater racing, getting as far as GP2 level before he went to IndyCar. He's joined in for this weekend back again. There for 2nd place, the Italian Paolo Roberti and Cedric Sprazzuoli, the Monegasque driver. Very experienced sports car GT racers both. But Andrea Amici, who's been an Asian champion and a European champion, trying to do the triple of winning 1 in each continent here. He is the race winner with Sandy Mitchell, former karter, former MSA Formula racer, went from single-seaters to GT4 and LMP3 sports cars. Also races, of course, Lamborghinis in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup for Barwell Motorsport, Mark Lemmer's team. So he has a lot of Lamborghini experience, even though he's adapting from a one-make car to a GT3 car, but and new circuits. But Sandy has done a really, really good job. So fascination for the championship showdown as well here as the trophies presented, and now the drivers can celebrate. Certainly Andrea Amici is up for celebrating. So too is Sandy Mitchell, because I think they can now detect that things might be heading more their way here. Paolo Roberti and Cedric Sprazzuoli got the class pole position point, but with Andrea Amici and Sandy Mitchell taking 15 points, putting them on 127. Brandon Godovic was 3rd in the class, so that gives him 128 in total. And Corey Lewis and Richard Antonucci, as you see there in replay, the winning car, Sandy Mitchell and Andrea Amici. Only fourth for Lewis and Antonucci. Puts them now on 132. It's going to be very, very close indeed. They still have the advantage, but it's going to be close. So we now turn our attention to the Pro-Am class, where there we have Ron Atapatu and Patrick Liddy and family. For second place is Eric Curran and William Hubble. And then the class winners, Jacob Eidson and Damon Ockey. Yet again, they've had this incredible season, and that's win number 10 for the champions in Pro-Am. Congratulations then to the Pro-Am victors, Jacob Eidson and Damon Ockey. Yet again, they stand on the top step of the podium. Jacob, the American-Australian, came from Formula Ford racing in Australia, in fact, the New South Wales Formula Ford Championship, before going into single-seater racing. Damon Ockey, again, did a huge amount of racing before Lamborghinis, but largely in another Italian brand. There is Ron Atapatu and Patrick Liddy. Still getting third in class despite the time lost with that punctured tyre, so it was a pretty good recovery in the end. And there is the trophy to the the second place, forgive me, combination. William Hubble there getting the trophy along with Eric Curran in their Prestige Performance operated Travis Haugen Wayne Taylor Racing entered car. So Chris Ward, the senior manager of Motorsport Lamborghini, presents the trophies. Now Pirelli's trophy from Ferruccio Pavesi once more is handed across, and that's 2 of the 4 podiums done here at Jerez de la Frontera in the North American Championship. All smiles, and again this great variety of flags. Ron Atapatu offer another cup of his elephant tea in celebration. Well done, Damon Ockey, Jacob Eidson, also William Hubble, Eric Curran and Patrick Liddy and Ron Atapatu, the top 3. And as I say, for Ron, this is a great return to Lamborghini racing. If you go right back to the early days of the championship, when it was the Supersport Trophy, Ron was there, did come and race in Europe in his day, but has had many years away to build up his business, and then that became Business Is. And now he's back and enjoying his racing as much as ever. And he's certainly found how the cars have evolved and developed and moved on over the years. So the AMS, the Lamborghini Cup drivers still to come. Getting another replay of action on track. And of course seeing here the Americans and Asian championships mixed together. That's the American effort on the inside, having to negotiate Gabriele Moroni's car. And there, 109, that was the car 11th overall to win its class, Damon Ockey and Jacob Eidson. So Mackay Snow takes second of the AMS and heads to the podium. And Stephen Agakane will be the winning AM, the teenaged American. Do we have a third in the class? Sheila Monk, I think, is going to be the third of the AMS, albeit a long, long way back. So Stephen Agakane has done a very good job in that, because he came through to take 14th place overall. Stephen Agakani, the class winner, to add to the successes at Watkins Glen, where he had 2, Road America, where he had 1, and Virginia, where he had 1. So that's win number 5 of the season now for Agakani. So there are the trophies presented. Stephen Agakani takes the top step. And race 2 to come up later on in the day will sort out the majority of these class championships, as there the trophies are held, Lamborghini and Pirelli trophies respectively. So everyone gets together for the final photographs. But Stephen Agakani, whose father used to race until he had a rather sizable accident, it's certainly going to be a driver with a good future. I think he was 9 when he had his first high-performance car to drive on the road privately, and he's always therefore had a head start over people. And here he is in his teens, but he's already done quite a bit of club racing, and started in SCCA club events. He's done some Blockpan GT World Challenge America as well with Richard Antonucci. He's a good driver coach, so Stephen Agakani has been learning all the time, and of course by driving on his own gets more seat time than others around him. Right, 3 down, 1 to go for our podiums, and it's going to be the Lamborghini Cup that will be next.
Llamando ya a los terceros clasificados al integrante del Dream Racing Motorsport, Randy Selari. Fuerte aplauso para el
There in replay, Stephen Agakani's car.
segundo clasificado en esta Lamborghini Cup en el campeonato norteamericano, Matt Dicken, componente del Chains Racing. Y finalmente vencedores en esta categoría, Justin Pace y Chad.
And there the drivers venture to the podium with the third place for Mel Johnson and Tom Lovelady. Second to Randy Solari, and the class win for Matt Dicken. Right, just to confirm, class win for Justin Price and Chad Reed, who, of course, started from the back of the grid after that delay in the pits. They take the win from Matt Dicken, and then third to Randy Solari, just to confirm the order then. So Randy Solari takes his third place. Second goes to Matt Dicken, but it is a class win for Justin Price and Chad Reed, deservedly so, after having to carve their way up from the back of the field. So Chris Hall hands over the Lamborghini trophies, Ferruccio Pavesi hands over the Pirelli trophies. And so there everybody celebrates. And we're almost done with the podiums. Congratulations then to our winning drivers, and in about 10 minutes time we'll look forward to the first of the European races of the weekend here at Jerez. There we have the champagne sprayed. Congratulations to all of our drivers in not just the American but also for the Asian Series. Celebrations continue here at Jerez. Pit lane is open, And before we turn to the European race 1, let's have a look at the highlights of the first race for the North American and Asian Championships here at Jerez.